Got a lot of good situational work against a different team, which is always helpful. A lot of stuff to coach off of, but appreciate the Dolphins for having us. There wasn't anything. I mean, guys get a little heated, but there's nothing major that you see sometimes when these things look ridiculous. So appreciate Miami, and we got a lot of good work.
Offensively, how do you think things went today? Kind of watched you had 4 quarterbacks, 4 plays each, and just
Yeah, I thought we started out strong, in the red zone. Mm-hmm. That was good, and then you try to just working some normal down stuff, 3rd, 4th down. In person, thought it looked pretty good, but there's always stuff on the tape. What was real, what wasn't. You get back and evaluate the tape.
Will you play Desmond? Will Desmond play for?
We're going to talk as a staff. Josh, our guys are going to play in the preseason, but when and how much we'll determine for this game in particular in the next 24 hours. I just got to go back and see where we're at. If guys are a little nicked up, probably hold them. So it's not just Dez, but if he goes out there, it'll be with the first offense as well.
Right.
So, and then the other thing too, we got to get an evaluation. We want to use the 3rd quarterback. So there's some things, but our guys will play in the preseason. To be determined about Friday night.
And then the scrimmages when they're not tackling. How do you evaluate the run games? If run fits, run tracks? Or?
Yeah, and 2 things. One, you obviously want to see if the tracks are right, it's blocked correctly, and then it's a subjective too. Sometimes if you're tackling Tyler Algier, like some of his arm tackles maybe real, some not. And then sometimes you don't see some of the back guy. Their guys did a nice job, and we coach our guys to do that when you're playing the backside. Guys pull up, and if again, it may be a tackle, but they're pulling up so to create a pile of bodies. Mm-hmm. So you got to take that into consideration too when you're evaluating it. You just want to see a technique coming off, or a track's good, was the hole actually there, all that stuff. Do you like?
And then getting a lot of calls on how Desmond's doing, and this is kind of first test.
You talking about Desmond Howard or Desmond Ritter?
Ritter, yeah. Okay. Desmond Howard grew up around the corner from him, by the way. But anyway. How did he do today against another team? How was his practice?
Did you watch our field, or were you still on the defense?
I was on your field today.
How do you think the red zone started?
It started good. You scored touchdowns in all
That's
3.
That's what the goal is, yeah.
All 3, yeah.
So, anyways, in all seriousness, I thought it was pretty solid. There's always things to coach off of, but Dez has done a good job.
You made some good reads.
Yeah.
The last in here with your one offense, did you stop that drill early?
I did, because we were playing the end of the game, so we didn't have a timeout. And again, I wasn't going to get into an argument with the officiating, but when they called a tripping call, whether it was real or not, like it was going to be a 3rd and whatever.
Okay.
And I just said, hey, look, I don't need to run. I didn't want to show some of our situational plays that you have to use damn near end of the game plays. Right. Not that I don't trust Miami. It's just I don't want to get into that probability, and we can argue whether you like the call or not. I'm not going to get fined. I don't think you can for practice. You have to look that up. And that wasn't a problem with that, but when you're working the operation, like we had a catch, I wanted to work the clock. He blew it dead. If you're going to enforce a penalty, the game's pretty much over at that point. And I didn't want to show a situational play there. That's why I did that.
Or how some of the younger guys taking some of the volume that you're putting in throughout camp?
Good. We have a different way that we approach things that we think are unique to try to get these guys ready to play. I think they're handling it real well.
Are there 1 or 2 things that Desmond has gotten better at that you've already seen, that you can quantify through 10 days or so of practice?
Again, a lot of camp, unless they're throwing, 5 picks a day. I mean, a lot of it is subjective. I mean, of course, the obvious, like, completing the ball, those are easy. But there's a lot of things that I think some of the techniques, some of the things we ask them to do, and it's such. DJ can tell you there's so much that goes into it, just with the drops that we ask them to do, the decision making on the play. A lot of times they can complete a ball, but maybe a poor decision that you get away with in practice. But I think his decision making has been pretty damn good. I think his techniques certainly improving, and that's the name of the game.
Are there any updates on Clark Phillips?
He's right there. He's good. Yeah, he's good.
It seems like Zach Harrison, you can just feel him at times, and he seemed to show up. I know you haven't seen the tape from this
He had a good day yesterday.
Yeah.
He did. Zach's going to be we're excited about Zach. He's in a really good situation. Who's coaching him in that room, and some of the veterans being around him. Zach got a lot of room to grow. I mean, Zach, he's a young guy. So we're excited about him.
How close is Kyle to getting regular reps with the ones?
Got a few today. We brought them along, you know, and next week we'll put a little more on them as we ramp them up. And so, you know, there's some other things you need to see. You know, we've kept them out of certain things and just done a lot more of the passing game as you should. And you're not bringing guys down on the ground, but you got to ramp up everything. So we'll push them a little bit more next week.
Arthur, between yourself, Matt Baker, T.J. Yates, Matt Collins, a lot of
Tar Heels.
connection.
You didn't see the big dog out there. Lawrence Taylor was here.
Yeah, I did see him.
Yeah.
What does that Carolina connection kind of mean to you?
Well, obviously, you know, everybody's usually proud of their alma mater for the most part, I guess. But, you know, even when talking to LT, it was cool. You know, he's an old Tar Heel. There's a lot of guys as you meet throughout the league playing and coaching. You know, I'm a little biased. I think we have some of the greatest players in certain sports, but it's fun. There's a lot of good Carolina guys around the league.
Coach, how much of the last 2 days you take into consideration when playing these guys on Friday?
A lot. Like, we need to play, but again, you know, with only 3 preseason games, you have 90 guys. We got to make some decisions. So it's depending on who we want to put the volume on now as we've gone through these 2 days, kind of see where we're at. Like I said, we'll make a decision tomorrow. If we need to feel like we need to play some of the vets early, we'll play them certainly. If we think we can hold a week, if we want to play the young guys, we just got to evaluate. They're going to play at some point in preseason, but this certainly goes into consideration. Like these help. I mean, it's not live. I mean, that's the one thing you can't simulate unless you get is the consequences of holding on a ball too long. You know, you find out what's a real sack, what's a real pressure, and what isn't. And you need to feel that, I believe, before we go out for a real game.